Consequently, in Islam, religion is not merely one segment of life. It regulates the total domain. In Islam's view of the world, mankind is divided into two irreconcilable camps: the territory of Islam, Dar al-Islam, and the territory of war, Dar al-Harb. All lands under Islamic control are considered Dar al-Islam, where Islamic law reigns. Those lands beyond Islamic control are Dar al-Harb, the territory of war, essentially the rest of the world. The Prophet Muhammad is said to have said, Al-Kufru Millatun Wahida, unbelief is one nation. In the Islamic view, all of mankind will one day accept Islam or submit to its rule.
Inshallah, Islam همه کجا رو فتح خواهد کرد؟ همه قله‌های جهان رو فتح خواهد کرد.
Logically then, Islam cannot recognize political borders nor permanent peace treaties with Dar al-Harb. Therefore, according to Ibn Taymiyyah, a 14th century Muslim jurist, any act of war against Dar al-Harb is morally justified, legal, and exempt from any ethical judgment. Islamism on the rise. Islamism is on the march, getting ready for what it considers to be a coming fateful war for the future of Islam. Since its Islamic revolution of 1979, Iran has been the undisputed leader of the Islamic revival.
امروز همه ملت‌ها بیدارند و ملت ایران پرچمدار بیداری همه ملت‌هاست.
Islamism is an indigenous grassroots movement championed by both poor and educated Muslims throughout the Muslim world. Islam is the solution, is the Islamist call to action against westernization and secular governments in the Muslim world that provide the masses with little hope or future. Islamism is an internal struggle for the future of Islam, not a war against the West. Islamists do not consider themselves to be revolutionaries, in the sense of revolution changing society in a new way. Rather, Islamists strive to rebuild internally by applying traditional principles to re-establish the past strength and glory of Islam. Islamist writer Sayyid Qutb, in Signposts on the Path, wrote, "The leadership of Western man in the human world is coming to an end. Not because Western civilization is materially bankrupt or has lost its economic or military strength, but because the Western order has played its part and no longer possesses that stock of values which gave it its predominance. The turn of Islam has come."
باید بپذیرند که از اداره عادلانه و رو به پیشرفت جهان عاجزند.
To simply dismiss Islamists as extremists is short-sighted. Islamists endeavor to build a constructive society based on justice, using the best moral values from Islamic tradition, history, and law. Islamism represents the only serious alternative to the present forms of government in the Muslim world, and represents the innermost aspirations of Muslims across Dar al-Islam. The Pillars of Islam. Foundations of Faith and Empire. The religion of Islam. The doctrine of Islam holds that Islam is the only true and eternal religion. The Prophet Muhammad pronounced that he did not found a new religion, but rather was a messenger, calling humanity back to the one true path. Muhammad preached that Christian and Jewish scriptures were divine revelations, but had been altered over the centuries, such that they could no longer be trusted. Belief in Islam is also known as the straight path. Islam has no priests nor bishops, and even the ulama, the learned men, expert in Islamic doctrines and practices, are not set apart from others in Islam. All Muslims are equal in the Islamic way of life. God. In Islam, God is all-knowing, all-powerful, and the creator of all that was and is, and all that will be. God is the righteous judge of good and evil. God is merciful and charitable, but also capable of great anger. Above all, he is one, and only one. Prophets and messengers.
ما اتفاقاً تنها ملتی هستیم که همه پیامبران الهی رو قبول داریم.
God's books were revealed to prophets or messengers who were mortals. In fact, the entire group of monotheistic prophets are part of the Islamic truth. Abraham received the first revelation, and his basic message was Islamic. The Quran says Abraham was the first Muslim. Muslims have high regard for Jesus, Isa, who is pictured as a wandering mortal preacher who performed miracles. He was given a scripture, the Gospel, but the book was hopelessly distorted. Muhammad's prophethood was the seal of the prophets. No more prophets will come before Judgment Day. In Islam, all prophets are revered, but no one prophet may be exalted above the others. The Quran. The Quran is the divine and sacred foundation of Islamic law, consisting of God's revelations to Muhammad by the angel Gabriel. Written in 114 chapters, or surahs, the Quran contains commandments, rules, ethical regulations, historical recreations, and wise sayings. An unswerving belief and devotion to the Quran is essential to all Muslims. The Hadith. Muslims derive spiritual nourishment and daily guidance from a supplement to the Quran called the Hadith. Muhammad conveyed many edicts on justice, property, responsibilities, and personal and family behavior that make up the Hadith, considered the tradition of Islam. The 5 pillars of Islam. Profession of faith, Shahada. Each Muslim must profess these words: La ilaha illallah, Muhammad Rasul Allah. There is no God but God, and Muhammad is the messenger of God. Anyone who says these words and believes them is a Muslim. Prayer, Salat. While facing Mecca, the holy city of Islam, believers must purify themselves with either water or desert sand and pray 5 times a day. Prayer time includes reciting special verses, kneeling, and prostrating oneself. Fasting, Psalm. The purpose of fasting is to commemorate Muhammad's hijrah from Mecca to Medina. During the month of Ramadan, no Muslim is allowed to eat, drink, or smoke during daylight hours. However, at night, families and friends gather for huge meals. Giving of alms, zakat. Muhammad proclaimed that each Muslim, except the very poor, was required to contribute a portion of his or her wealth, about 2.5%, to the poor. Pilgrimage, Hajj. This requires every Muslim who is economically and physically able to make a journey to the holy city of Mecca at least once in a lifetime. Each year, Muslims congregate at the shrine of the Kaaba in Mecca to circle the Kaaba, kiss the black stone, run between the nearby hills of Safa and Marwa, stone a pillar near Mina, representing the devil, sacrifice sheep, and assemble on the plain of Arafat. Jihad. The 5 pillars do not cover all Muslim duties. Jihad is a communal religious duty for Muslims. During the early centuries of Islamic expansion, raising the sword against Harbi was the main emphasis of jihad. The Quran commands Muslims, fight against those who do not believe in God or the Judgment Day, who permit what God and His Messenger have forbidden, and who refuse allegiance to the true faith. The primary objective of military jihad is not the conversion of individuals to Islam, but rather the gaining of political control over the collective affairs of societies to run them in accordance with the principles of Islam.
به لطف مجاهدت‌های شهیدان شما بیداری اسلامی و ایمان توحیدی در همه عالم.
The Quran emphasizes that those who die in military jihad automatically become martyrs, shaheed, and are awarded a special place in paradise. Today, Westerners think of jihad as Islam's holy war, but this is not completely accurate. Jihad is also an inner spiritual struggle of the heart against vice and ignorance, and choosing to do good while avoiding evil. The Sharia, Islamic holy law. By the end of the 9th century, classical Islamic jurists compiled a law code called the Sharia, an Arabic word meaning way. It is comparable to the Jewish Talmud, though there is nothing similar in Christianity. The Sharia classifies all possible human behavior as obligatory, recommended, neutral, objectionable, or forbidden by God, the supreme legislator. The Sharia includes rules about marriage, divorce, child rearing, interpersonal relationships, property, food and clothing, hygiene, aspects of prayer, and even commercial and criminal law. Ever mindful of the impending Judgment Day, the Sharia helps Muslims know and obey rules of behavior that will please God and maintain a harmonious society. Islamism advocates the implementation of Sharia and the restoration of the Quran as the sole authority for government in Muslim countries. Women in Islam.
And we have learned that their goal is to build a radical Islamic empire where women are prisoners in their homes.
In Islamic society, women generally tend to affairs of the home rather than the public world. This custom, called purdah, is widely misunderstood by Westerners as a form of oppression. From the Muslim point of view, purdah provides women a form of protection and a place of respect in society, as does the wearing of the veil and other restrictions from contact with unrelated men. The universe and humanity. Islam believes God created the universe in 6 days, but does not agree with other religions that say God created man in his own image, nor that God tired from the work of creation. Muslims believe the universe consists of 7 heavens, 7 earths, and everything inside of them. The 7 heavens are stacked above the earths. Humanity resides on the highest earth, and Satan resides in hell on the lowest. The lowest heaven is our sky, and the highest heaven is paradise. Although God is everywhere, he resides at the top of the world. In God's universe, there are angels, jinn, heavenly servants who obey divine will. Among the angels is Gabriel, who is entrusted with revelation. Satan, Iblis, or Al-Shaitan, was a jinn who disobeyed God's command to bow to Adam. Having fallen from God's service, he now tries to corrupt mankind. Islam often portrays Satan as a symbol of ultimate evil.
این رژیم منحوس پرچم شیطان است. پرچم شیطان بزرگ است.
As Satan is God's enemy, anyone fighting against Dar al-Islam is satanic. As America is the leader of the West, and its culture, ideals, and military opposes Islam, America is the great Satan. Judgment Day. Among Islam's basic tenets, none was preached more fervently by Muhammad than the belief in a final judgment day, from which no one can escape. On this day of doom, all living people will die, and all the dead will be summoned before God's throne to be judged. There, God will review every individual's book of deeds to determine their afterlife, a reward of paradise, heaven, or damnation to everlasting punishment in hell. The Quran depicts paradise as a shaded garden with cooling fountains and beautiful maidens for the eternal bliss of righteous men. Righteous women will also enter heaven. In paradise, men and women will know peace, live in harmony, and see God. Hell is the abode of punishment that God has prepared for unbelievers.